start by being very clear that comprehensive reproductive health care is under attack across the nation. There's no doubt that the administration in Washington has waged a war on reproductive freedom. But California's leaders, along with my fellow committee members, understand that abortion is health care and access to it is a human right. Abortion access is constitutionally protected and statutorily protected here in California. Our California government continues to make strides to deliver, expand, and invest in sexual and reproductive health care, including safe access to abortion care. In fact, there's a historic $100 million investment in reproductive health included in the 2019-2020 proposed budget this year, which is sitting on the governor's desk awaiting his signature. The additional funding allocated in this budget will ensure that more people have access to safe, affordable reproductive health care. In California, we have an opportunity and an obligation to fight to ensure that patients and everyone in this country can still access health care no matter what. It's incredibly disheartening to see a movement across the country to ban abortions. We've now seen 15 states ban abortions in the past 5 months. With Trump in the White House and Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, state politicians are emboldened to regulate women's bodies and try to fully ban safe and legal abortions. Bans like this go beyond rhetoric. They would have dire consequences to the future of women in this country. These bans will put women's lives in jeopardy, and they're starting to land on governors' desks at a rapid pace. This isn't a coincidence. This is an attempt to ban abortions outright, and this is not just an attack on Alabama or Missouri women. This is an attack on all women. This is an attack on our basic human right of bodily autonomy, and this impacts every person who can get pregnant. Politicians are doing this in defiance of the American people, whose support for access to safe, legal abortion is at an all-time high and growing. In fact, recent polling shows that 73% of Americans say they don't want to see Roe overturned. Already 1 in 3 women of reproductive age lives in a state where abortion could be outlawed if Roe is overturned. That's over 25 million people. A patient's health should drive personal medical decisions, not a politician's beliefs. These issues are between women and their doctors. And while the national attack on abortion is at the forefront of many minds, we must also consider that this is not the only problem that California patients and healthcare providers face. Adequate staffing, funding, accessibility, especially in rural communities and immigrant communities, a soaring STI epidemic, patient safety, consumer fraud, and an unacceptable maternal mortality rate for African American women are just some of the few issues and barriers to care that Californians face. This Select Committee will address all of the issues that women face in reproductive care. When I asked to chair this Select Committee, I was very surprised to learn that there has never been a Select Committee hearing on women's reproductive health in California. Subsequently, we learned that this Select Committee is the first of its kind across the nation. Today, you'll notice the lack of any of my Republican colleagues as members of this committee. I want to be clear that we invited them to join us, and they declined. We want this to be a bipartisan discussion. We want reproductive health care to be a nonpartisan issue. We invite them to join us when they're ready. So I especially want to thank my colleagues who are here today for the hard work they've already devoted to reproductive health care for all in California, including Assemblymember Chu, who's sitting next to me, who authored one of the strongest laws in California's history. Our first hearing today is meant to set a baseline about the current status of our reproductive health care system in California and to hear directly from providers, patients, and other experts about what they face on a daily basis. Here in California, we pride ourselves on being at the forefront for providing comprehensive, accessible, competent, and complete care for women and men in the reproductive health space. But we must acknowledge and examine how the national landscape impacts our state, as well as the unmet needs that still exist in communities across California. Rest assured, this will not be the only hearing our committee holds. We look forward to diving in deeper on the issues presented here today and zeroing in on how California can overcome the challenges imposed on us at the federal level, as well as the systematic changes we can make to improve care at the state level.